Hello, this is Steven, and yes, we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the episode where Batman, Robin, and Batgirl go up against the Siren. So without further ado, let's hop into the review. Where we last left off in the previous episode, the Siren has just entered Police Commissioner Gordon's office, and using her voice 2 octaves above high C, has managed to put Gordon under her spell. She then plans a big caper that involves Batman, but asks Gordon to set up a false meeting at somewhere neutral, Gordon's apartment, which of course under her spell he gladly agrees. We then get a call, Bruce Wayne and Dick then get the call to meet there as Batman and Robin, but are curious as to why. However, Batman says they are duly deputized agents of the laws and they always obey orders, which has been a while, I think probably since the Riddler episodes in season 2, where Batman actually says he's a duly deputized agent of the law. Opening credits, and we then find that everyone has been at Gordon's apartment: Batman and Robin, Barbara Gordon, and Chief O'Hara, but they are worried as he has yet to turn up. We then see the Siren along with Commissioner Gordon in the downstairs parking lot, and essentially has Gordon in the back trunk of the Batmobile. He then plans for him to go to the Batcave where he can figure out who Batman and Robin are. And with that as a weapon, she can then pull off her really big crime. Already, this woman is pretty ambitious. Batman and Robin realize that Gordon is not going to turn up and then leave to go to the Batcave to look for him. Use the Batcomputer. Chief O'Hara then leaves, realizing that he's not going to turn up. Just as he leaves, Barbara mentions the answering machine, and that basically says a joke to hope Lorelei Cersei doesn't record it. And he's like, what? And he says Lorelei Cersei is a famous vocalist, I guess is the word, and basically saying that her voice is so powerful it could shatter windows and all that. O'Hara says, well, I pray we don't get it running from her. And just as he walks out, Barbara then comes to the realization that maybe it could be her, a Lorelei, a Siren, and lives in the Grotto Arms. I'm guessing that she came to the conclusion courtesy of meeting the Siren in the previous episode. Just as that happens, she then dresses up a Batgirl and heads to the hotel to where she's staying. We then find Batman and Robin have arrived at the Batcave and start using the Batcomputer to figure out where Gordon is. But however, the Batcomputer can't answer as it's only programmed to track criminals, not Gordon. Realizing that, they then go upstairs to refresh their have a break and hopefully refresh their memories. Just as that happens, Alfred's coming down to clean the Batcave. Just as they leave, Gordon hops out of the trunk and sees Alfred. Realizing that Alfred is the voice on the Batphone, he then comes to the conclusion that Batman and Robin are really Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. Thus he's about to go on the phone and call the Siren, which he says out loud. Alfred knocks him out with bat gas. Just as that's happening, we see the Siren with her henchmen at the hotel that she's staying at, and we find out that her motivation in life is to be the queen criminal in Gotham. However, her henchmen point out that this has happened before. Criminals like the Catwoman and the Black Widow have tried this on more than one occasion and have failed. However, she says she plans to succeed where they fail because she's actually going after their identities rather than trying to bump them off. Just as that's happening, we also find out more about her real caper. And that is, she plans to steal the fortune of millionaire Bruce Wayne. Which makes sense, because it's clear in the series that Bruce Wayne is both chairman of nearly everything, and is arguably the richest man in the city. So controlling his fortune would arguably be controlling the majority of the city. Just as that's happening, Bruce and Dick are at the Batphone, and are still wondering where Gordon is, when Alfred comes in with Gordon. They are shocked to see him, and Alfred says he was in the Batcave, and that he knows the true identity of each of them. They are now literally scared. They don't know what to do, as the bat gas will soon wear off, and he would no doubt go to the person who basically forced him to do this. Just as that's happening, the phone rings, which happens to be the Siren calling. Now, it should be noted throughout the apartment scene with the siren laying down his plans, Barbara, as Batgirl, heard the whole thing, and of course quickly made her escape. Anyway, back to Wayne Manor. Bruce then enters the Bat phone and is also put under the siren spell and goes to meet her at the Wayne Foundation. Dick is stumped as to what's happening, and so is Alfred. And just as Dick is about to follow him, he gets the call on the Bat phone. Scared of answering, thinking that he'll be under the same influence just as Bruce did, he goes to answer the phone, where he is shocked to find it's Batgirl, explaining the whole thing. The siren putting people under spells and planning to steal the fortune. He then quickly tells her to meet at the Wayne Foundation and saying that Batman is unavailable, but he is. Just as that's happening, we see Bruce Wayne at the Foundation along with the siren and her henchmen, and he has signed over literally his entire fortune over to her. Just as that's happening, the siren goes to have a phone call to call up Police Commissioner Gordon's office and hoping to contact Gordon, but when she answers, she finds Chief O'Hara and puts him under his spell and tells him to jump on Gotham Park Lake. Just as that happened, Robin and Batgirl quickly burst in and are about to arrest the siren. However, they have no legal grounds. As the built property is now owned by the siren, they have no real proof that he's under a spell, and sadly cannot investigate unless there is a warrant present. As a result, they are forced to leave. However, when Robin does end up leaving, he plants a bugging device on the curtains, and they secretly hide in a broom closet listening to the bug. With the siren now in control of Wayne's fortune and see no more use for him, they all go upstairs to the top of the roof, where Bruce Wayne will jump and essentially falls to his death. When Robin and Batgirl hear it, they run up the stairs to prevent this. And we then cut to Bruce on the roof about to jump. Robin and Batgirl are in just the nick of time and prevent him from jumping, and a bat fight breaks out. Now what I like about it is that we get to see Robin and Batgirl fighting very well as a team, and this is where I kind of root for them to be a couple over what the series always tried to do with Batman partnering up with Batgirl. Even though it's clear that Robin is definitely a bit younger than Batgirl, I always found the chemistry between the two to be far better than what Batgirl will always have with Batman. For me, it just never worked. But just as the fight scene is happening, we also see Bruce Wayne walking in a daze, still under the siren's spell. He eventually makes his way over to the siren when the siren orders him to join and fight along with her men, but Robin ends up just knocking out Bruce Wayne, and the siren ends up falling onto the side of the roof, just clinging, barely able to stay on. Robin agrees to pull her up if he promises to get the spell off Bruce, which she does, but she says it's 2 octaves above high C. Her voice could possibly be shattered if she does it. However, she sees no other choice and agrees to come up and does the antidote voice, or note, as she says, on Bruce Wayne. As a result, he went back to normal, but at the cost of the siren losing his voice. Realizing that everything is back to normal, but Batgirl quickly leaves when she realizes Chief O'Hara still needs saving. We then cut to Police Commissioner Gordon's office with Gordon, Batman and Robin, and Barbara Gordon all there, and just as Gordon is relieved from Siren's spell, he remembers nothing of the encounter, and the conclusion is, with the Siren retracing her antidote note, anyone under her spell is completely averted. We then see Chief O'Hara walking, completely drenched, courtesy of being nearly drowned in the lake, with everything back to normal and the Siren locked up. We end the episode with Batman and Robin in the Batcave, trying out a new equipment. Just as they are keeping an update on the Commissioner to tell about Warden Crichton with the Siren. Just as that's happening, it then alerts them that the Penguin is back in town, but he's not alone. He'll be teaming up with a new accomplice named Lola Lasagna. So tune in next time for that episode. First off, I like how Gordon is placed in a unique position here of being under someone's spell, and we get to see that more with Bruce. To be fair, most of the screen time is given to really Robin and Batgirl to really explore more and see them work. I honestly thought, even during the show's run, I always thought there was a little bit of chemistry or spark between Robin and Batgirl rather than Batman and Batgirl. I don't know, but I guess it's always been for me with Medium for Robin and Batgirl, at least Barbara and Dick, to always team up, even though it's clear that Dick is younger than Barbara, clearly. And people say, well, isn't Robin underage? Well, in my opinion, Barbara would have been in her early 20s, or these early to mid 20s, and Dick would have been just 17. So I don't think he's that young. I think Batman / Bruce was always overprotective, seeing how he was always too young. So I really like how this episode gives them a chance to shine on those two, but it also introduces us to a brand new villain. The Siren is played by Joan Collins, who was a actress very popular in her own time. And she was not a small deal around this time. She was pretty reasonably huge and will continue to be successful as an actor as it went on. First off, the Siren is, for me, a unique villain. First off, she's a female villain. I saw not only had great potential to be a really great villain as the series went on, but she was even good from her get-go. Also like how she was introduced. She was introduced as a minor player during the Riddler episode, but came here to be her own personal villain, and her plot really is really interesting. She plans to take over Bruce Wayne's entire fortune, and when she finds out the true identity of Batman and Robin, she plans to use that as a weapon, essentially resulting them into not fighting her in fear of her identity being revealed. I also happen to like the design, and she's arguably the first villain on the show to have legit superpowers. And honestly, none of them had that. They either had a gimmick, or maybe a certain technology, or even fancy costume that made them stand out. This is a legit villain that had powers. I'm kind of upset that she never came back after this episode. She would be mentioned a few times, but she didn't. But sadly, she never really had any more episodes after this. I really wish she could have come back, and I really like that she was a fun villain. And it's really upsetting that she never came back after this appearance. I really would have not minded her coming back, as I found her to be really interesting. But it is what it is, but I can say that at least her episode was enjoyable. Also here we have the promo for next week's villains. We have the Penguin once again back. It's pretty quick that he returned. Literally, we only saw him like 3 episodes ago. But this time he'll be teaming up with Senora Lola Lasagna. And I'm not sure. And I don't know how this character dynamic is going to play out in the next episode, which I'm really looking forward to see. The War of the Siren for me is a fun, entertainable episode. Granted, flawed in some places, especially with the idea of how maybe Gordon and O'Hara got off from under her spell, is really never fully explained or explicit, but I found the episode to be really enjoyable with a very fun villain. Honestly, I can say that Season 3 so far is really fun. The 1 episode format I'm really invested in, and I like how at the end of the episode we get clips of the next villain for the next episode, kind of making really making it interesting, and for me bringing a new level of freshness to the series. Also, this episode really focuses more on Robin and Batgirl, with Batman / Bruce kind of being more on the background characters, which for me makes a whole lot of sense, as for me it's okay to have an episode shine more on the supporting characters rather than your main, because sometimes that gets a bit boring. I can really enjoy this episode, and it's a really fun one. There we have it. That was the War of the Siren. Tune in next time where Batman, Robin, and Batgirl go up against the Penguin and his new accomplice, Senora Lola Lasagna. So until next time, tune into the same Steven hour, the same Steven channel, ladies and gentlemen. So long for now.